let's get into why you left JTF2.
All right. So the last few years, and I kind of alluded to it before a little bit, like I didn't like the direction that we were starting to head.
Let's talk about what year this is.
This was probably around, when did the fucking COVID thing start? 2020, right?
2020, the very beginning of 2020.
Yeah, so it was like tail end, beginning of 2019 maybe, tail end 2018. So it was like just starting, and there'd been a couple of steps throughout my time there where I saw it changing, in a way.
So right
I
about the
didn't like.
time all this woke stuff started hitting the news.
That's right. So
Okay.
in the news, it infiltrated fucking briefing time. It infiltrated like different training that they wanted everyone in the Canadian Forces to go through.
What kind of training?
Oh, like sensitivity training to everything you can imagine. Like, from like just every category of wokeness, it seemed like there was a sensitivity course that came along with it. Now,
So
all
instead
for
of
people.
learning how to kill people,
Exactly.
you're learning how to not hurt
and
anybody's
this,
feelings.
This is the trade-off that I'm like, why the fuck are we doing this? So one, within this gate of fucking Dwyer Hill Training Center, there's no, like, we don't have big issues in all of these places. Now, do I think people need to be nice to other people? Yes. Do I think it needs to take away from my fucking range time because you have some agenda? No. And that was starting to happen, and it was like a little bit more and a little bit more. I just saw it going in a direction that I didn't like. When like this COVID thing happened, they mandated. So already we're headed in a direction that I'm not super fond of. And then the COVID happened, everything grinds to this unnecessary halt, in my opinion. And we're waiting to see what happens. Like, okay, there's a vaccine coming out. Okay. So I'm just reading about it. I'm seeing what they're saying on the news, I'm reading other things. I'm just staying very open-minded. I'm like, okay, what do I feel like this is something that I am concerned about? Am I scared? Like, is there a fucking black plague sweeping planet Earth? And like, at what level? And it's almost like the protector of the family kicks in, right? You're like, what level do I need to be concerned? As things were coming, even like what the news is reporting, I'm like, okay, I understand that they're trying to scare everyone. I don't see anything that I need to be concerned of. Mm-hmm. We're looking at demographics, we're looking at fatality rates, all these things. I'm like, I'm not concerned about this. To me, like, you're getting numbers. Like, anyway, I'm just like,
No, I mean, it came out. It's not.
Yeah.
They were bullshit numbers. There's no ifs, ands, or but about it. They were reporting people that died in car accidents and motorcycle accidents, people that were shot.
That's right.
People that were dying from other illnesses that may have had COVID.
Yeah.
You could have died from fucking cancer, but if you had COVID,
Yeah.
you died from COVID.
Yeah.
If you were in a car accident and fucking died and had COVID, it wasn't the car accident that killed you.
Yeah.
It was COVID that killed
right.
you. So the numbers were fudged.
And that was, I mean, from the way I see it, that was to just like get everybody in line. Like, be scared, do your part. And I was like, yeah, I don't think so. From what I'm seeing right now, I'm not concerned about it. So I was like, I look at it like the flu shot. Every year there's a flu shot. I'm not concerned about the flu, so I don't get it. The government, the unit, had a different opinion because obviously it's the government organization. So they mandated that you had to have it. I was like, I just was like, no. In this particular case, no. And I would have done the same thing, honestly, if they're like, the flu shot's now mandatory. I'm like, okay, well, I'm not taking it. I don't require it. I don't see risk. And this is like, as I've evolved, or hopefully evolved, but like learning about health and all these different things, I'm like, okay, there's places for different medications. It should be up to the individual to make that assessment. Your own fucking health, especially fucking injecting something in your body. Like, it's the ultimate, like overstep on someone's freedom. Like, you must inject this.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay. I'm like, this doesn't seem like it's for me. I had to go to the appointment anyway. But at this point, we were not ordered to take it. The tricky wording, the coercion, and all the stuff I saw was like, other than a couple cases of people that I know that were directly ordered to do it, I even think those were mistakes that people recognize later. Like, shit, I don't think that was within my... like, I didn't have the right to do that. Now that says everything passed. What's going to happen? Who knows? But I saw a lot of fucking coercion. And I declined getting my first shots on a Friday afternoon. And by Monday, I was being threatened to be kicked out of the unit. Kicked out of my troop by my sergeant major. I'd never seen a reaction. I was telling you this yesterday. Like, I've never seen a reaction like that to almost anything. Like, in my opinion, I could have fucking drunk drove my truck through the front gate, and it would not be that reaction. It'd be like, hey, man, like, fuck, something's obviously going on. Let's figure it out. It's just something. Like, there's pretty all right support prior to this, and it was like a fucking snap of the fingers. Like, overnight, it just changed so drastically with this narrative that, like, after being at the unit for almost 14 years and just declining, and all I said is, I want to have more time to see something, because there was information coming out about, like, Johnson & Johnson not being great. Don't get that one. AstraZeneca, there's some problems, like there's blood clots, and there's all these things. And I'm like, I just told him, like, I just want more time. I was like, I couldn't believe the reaction, like, so fucking fast. I was like, okay. It's like, this is a weird one.
So what was everybody else doing at the unit?
It depends on the
torn?
person. There, a lot of people were torn, but a lot of people were coerced. A lot of people were told, like, you're not going to advance in your career. You're going to be kicked out. So the end result was you're going to be kicked out of the military, a 5F release, I think it's called, if you don't comply. Like, the most drastic shit I've ever seen. So, like, not only, like, you're not on a list of deployable right now because maybe, I don't know, some other country has a problem with it or whatever. It's like, you're fucking kicked out. Like, it was insane. And that led to, so this would have been probably, man, I want to say like October, end of the year 2020. By time, like, everything happened and the, 2020, 2021? No, 2020. And they were like, this was in place. And now they have a bunch of people throughout the CAF that are like, yeah, we're not doing this. Okay, begin the release process. You look at what are your options. And there was, like, exemptions. There were some exemptions that they wrote about. Very rarely were those accepted. So I wrote in to get exemptions for a whole bunch of different things that I believed. And I talked to, like, an indigenous elder from around where I was from. And, like, I mean, we didn't really get into it. I'm not really a religious dude in terms of the dogma in any particular book, but I'm a spiritual guy for sure. And just, I have beliefs in things that are bigger than us. Mm-hmm. I don't think it's all just an accident of whatever. But the advice I got from, like, a person that I deem spiritual, religious, whatever it is, was like, don't do it yet. Like, this is the same government that fucking took our indigenous people and threw them into, like, these schooling projects to, like, teach the Indian out of them. Like, that was not that long ago.
Yeah.
There's a scar left on the indigenous people that's like, well, no, we're just going to trust everything you say. We've done that before. And it was a sentiment of, like, what is natural, what do you feel, what would we believe in our belief system? And I tried to put this into a, like, here's another reason that I think in this particular time, like, I want to be exempt from this. and like the cadre of the fucking army or whatever was like, no, that's not a legitimate religious fucking thing. Like, fuck you, you cocksucker. So simultaneous to all this, I'm like starting to get in administrative trouble, which has never happened before in my career, because I'm not playing the mask charade either. We'd have a conversation in a room, me and you, or whoever was in my team or Det. No mask required. It's fucking stupid. We can all assess this now. It's been going on for, at this point, like almost a year. Next room, I don't need masks. We can all agree it's fucking stupid. Oh, so-and-so's coming to the meeting. You got to put on a mask. I was like, no. And this just kept happening. And people would get upset. And I'm like, too fucking bad. Like, this is all a charade right now. I see you in conversations with certain people until it's time to virtue signal to a bigger group or whatever. Like, it's all a charade. And I'm not playing this game. And so I'd get in trouble. So I'm like, oh, can you just fucking please put a mask on? I'm like, no. Like, they're like, the next one's going to be up the level of fucking administrative problems. It's like, at what point are you going to see that I don't give a fuck anymore? Like, I was now chasing up medical issues that I had, all the MTBI stuff I was telling you about, and I was getting a medical release process started because I was gonna be kicked out. Now, look,
How many guys are you leading the charge here? Are other guys following in your footsteps?
I was out front for sure. Different people took different approaches. I know a lot of people that are no longer in that were. I'll put it that way. I didn't really get permission from anyone to talk about their own situations, but I was putting my foot down, and most people, whether they caved or not, really appreciated.
Yeah.
Now, there's obviously a collection of people that didn't. So I was now chasing up a medical release. In hindsight, I'm like, what a fucking blessing. Because, like, I needed to stop exposing my brain to impacts. This was just the catalyst. It was like, yeah, I'm crossing that line. But I everything was bringing on these concussion symptoms. So, looking back on it, I'm like, whew. But it just, I couldn't believe how it fucking changed overnight. And then the final straw was I was going to a meeting to hear about why my exemptions were declined. Why some person who didn't even fucking come talk to me or talk to the person that I spoke with declared religious exemption, no. Medical exemption, no. Even I brought up all of these concerns. Myocarditis, all these different things that were showing up in young men who are not at risk of fucking dying from COVID. I'm just like, no. All these things are no. So I was going to this meeting for them to tell me why everything was declined. The meeting just happened to be at a meeting room, and I didn't put a mask on. And then,
Can we have the conversation that you had with the gentleman before you entered that room?
yeah,
You
so
told me
I
last night.
was talking, and my chain of command knew, and they didn't, my immediate chain of command, I mean. And he was escorting me in, my sergeant major, and he was like, hey man, they're gonna ask you to put a mask on. I was like, I know. And he's like, can you do it? It's like, fuck no. So he went in to kind of give the room a heads up. And this was the ultimate, because I could have just fucking put it on. And I wore balaclavas all over the fucking place. But the principle behind this nonsense I was seeing, this charade, it was just such a joke. I'm like, yeah, I'm not doing it. So the RSM comes out, I need you to put a mask on, Dallas. I'm not doing it. I don't even own a fucking mask. And that it escalated a little bit. Instead of using my first name, call me by rank. I told him when his stature got a little bit up, and I was just like, don't get fucking pokey chest with me. And I use it. Well, I won't use his name here, but. And then he's like, "Get out." So he goes down, open the door to this building. I was like, "You coming outside with me?" He's like, just looked away, went inside, and that was the last time I ever had access to fucking even get on camp.
Wow, that's how it ended?
That's how it ended. So I got in my truck. My sergeant major came out and he's like, "Fuck." I was like, "Look, man, I know the position I just put you in, but I don't give a fuck anymore." And I drove home, and like my pass never worked again. So all the clear out process and everything had to be done through people on camp. I got a little charge on the way out for that. I can't even remember what it was called. That behavior towards the RSM. And that was like see you later. It's crazy.
That's insane.
It's fucking insanity. But like I was saying, I think yesterday I mentioned this. Just like,
I liked what you said at dinner. You had mentioned that you asked the sergeant major, you said, "Well, is everybody in that room masked?"
yeah, so I asked, I said, "Is everybody in the room going to be wearing a mask?" He said, "Absolutely." I said, "Then that means you're all safe, if they work. And if they don't, and you're not safe, then why are you telling me to put one on?" And that's when he started using my rank instead of my name.
Well, what else are you going to say to that?
Well, it just shows.
Here you go, Sergeant Major. This is fucking what common sense looks
yeah,
like.
Where
Did yours go?
That's the thing. Where the fuck did it go? Yeah, so that was like the last day I was ever at the Wire Hill Training Center. All the release.
Do you feel that destroyed a big part of JTF too?
No. At least not for me. So one, I think it was already going in a direction that I didn't like. That it wasn't for me. It was not. The unit was no longer, or was at least rapidly turning into a place that the people they selected were not going to fit in there anymore. And I recognize that for me, my own personal thing. So the unit is still full of fucking super hard charging professional motherfuckers. The best workforce friends, brothers I've ever worked with. There is a portion that needs a realignment.
Is that portion growing?
I think maybe because the other portion's shrinking,
Yeah.
it would appear to be growing. But like when I go chat with the boys, like I don't feel like the numbers are growing. Where people are like, "Yeah, you know what? We need to be forced to do more shit, and we need to like really soak up all this woke business." Like no one's saying that, unless the most important thing to you in the world is your career. So like, it's still, there's just still fucking great warriors there.
Yeah.
So I leave and like the unit, I never expected, whenever I got out, no matter how it was, I didn't expect that like this unit's gonna come to a halt. Like, oh my God, Dallas is leaving the unit because you're just a fucking dude in a big organization. Like the train just keeps going. But I didn't expect it to end like that. But I have just really good friends and brothers out of it all that like, no matter the bullshit, I've had my back in a lot of ways.
They did lose a lot of stuff though by losing you. I mean, what percentage of the unit do you think left because of the jab mandates and the woke agenda, and because this is happening across the world, you know, and when I get guys in who are fresh out, I mean, it's horrible. They've demoralized all of the units, and the attrition rate, it's a joke.
Yeah.
The attrition rate is a joke now. They can't keep anybody in. They can't recruit anybody.
That's right.
Because they miscalculated who joins the military, especially who serves who wants to serve in a SOF environment at that capacity, at that level. you
Well,
know?
I don't know if the people really making the calls for this to happen want units like that.
Well, that's what we can get into that in a minute.
Okay.
But I guess what I'm saying is, this is just an estimation. It's not based off any factual information other than just who I know left
Yeah.
the SEAL teams because of the jab. And I'm going to say it's damn close to 50%,
Yeah.
between the woke agenda and the jab mandates. I mean, these are the only people in the fucking country that stand up for what they believe in.
Yeah.
Everybody else is just got their head down and they're just trying to get through the day. These are the only fucking people that step up to the plate.
Yeah.
Hey everybody, I'm Shawn Ryan. Click here to subscribe to the Shawn Ryan Show YouTube channel for the hottest and most compelling interviews that you will not see anywhere else. I've also made a playlist of all the previous SRS episodes so they're easy to find. You can find that right here.